there's instances in, my school, stuff that I know about where, girls get hit by their boyfriends and stuff. I think it's an issue. I used to know this girl, her boyfriend hit her, and, she tried to, call the cops and everything, and just, nobody really listened. And eventually she ended up getting hurt really bad.
Oh yes, I've had friends, whose boyfriends, they just abuse them, beat them, and you look at it like as their friend, you're like, why are you with them? But I guess they're with them because they feel they don't have anybody else.
Actually, I've heard of a lot of people that have said that they've been with people and they've gotten hit, mostly girls, and I don't know why, because it doesn't make sense. I could see if somebody got in a fight with a guy over a girl, but you don't hit a girl. That's a no-no.
Date rape is suspected to be the most often committed, least reported, and least prosecuted serious crime in the United States.
According to the U.S. Department of Justice, a woman in America is raped every 2 minutes.
50% of these women are under the age of 18 years old.
40 to 75% of all rapes against women are committed by men who knew their victims.
Date rape is a situation where sexual assault occurs between two individuals who have known each other and are out on a date or are in some type of existing relationship.
Date rape and dating violence. That's what we're going to talk about today on Real Faith TV. Hi everyone, I'm John.
And I'm Alicia. One of the misconceptions about rape is that it is usually a stranger jumping out of bushes or grabbing someone in a dark alley.
But as we will learn today, this is far from true. More often than not, the rapist is familiar with their victim.
In fact, 93% of juvenile sexual assault victims knew their attacker.
Eileen Allen, our spotlight guest today, is the coordinator of the Monmouth County Sexual Assault Examiner Program.
She will share with us a few typical date rape and dating violence scenarios,
how victims can get help,
and some ways to avoid dating violence. We will talk with our studio guests about date rape and dating violence. But first, let's go back to our teens on the street and get their thoughts on dating violence.
Do you think that dating violence is any kind of a problem in today's society?
Yeah, because some girls and guys, they get together and they just like each other for their looks and they don't care what actually happens, relationship-wise. So if it does get violent, they usually don't care because they want to keep their boyfriend or girlfriend. Some guys or girls think they're all that. I don't know about the girls, and they think that they can do anything and they can still get what they want.
Some people are really aggressive, some people have short tempers, and some people just don't really care about others, just themselves.
I think guys think they have much control over who they are with and that girls don't think they can fight back, but they can.
I think it's a male-dominated world and they feel like men should just be able to do whatever they want and women should listen to them.
What do you think can be done to prevent violence or date rape in the future?
I don't know, maybe more police programs about it, lectures in school about it maybe.
I think the people should know each other better and before they go out somewhere where they could get beat or could be raped, I think they should get to know them better.
Make sure you know the person that you're going out with really well and don't protect yourself.
Dating violence can take many forms.
Power and control issues turn to violence, mental abuse, and verbal abuse.
It can involve physical violence, and unfortunately, sometimes it can end in the victim's death.
And although most victims are women,
about 3% of American men have experienced an attempted or complete rape in their lifetime.
Alicia spoke with Eileen Allen at the Jersey Shore Medical Center, a Meridian healthcare facility in Neptune, New Jersey.
She is a nurse examiner and coordinator of the Monmouth County Sexual Assault Examiner Program. This program provides psychological support to survivors of sexual assault.
It also plays a vital role in evidence and information collection, which helps to prosecute rapists.
In this next segment, Eileen gives us some examples of typical date rape scenarios.
One of the classic scenarios we see involving date rape drugs. Young women, usually between the ages of 15 and 25, they're out in a social setting, usually some kind of a club, a bar, or at a big party. They drink something out of a container, either that they didn't see poured or that they've left unattended. But imagine you're at a club or a party someplace, you have a drink of some kind, you put it down. Doesn't have to be alcohol, could be soda, could be water, could be anything. And you go out to dance, or you see friends across the room and you go over there and talk to them. And then you come back, your glass is there, you don't think anything of it, you pick it up and you drink it. Within 20 to 30 minutes, the individual reports a sudden onset of feeling really nauseous, dizzy, lightheaded, just feeling really lousy. And it's my experience that when young women especially feel as if they might get sick to their stomach, the first thing they're doing is running to a bathroom. So they isolate themselves. They get into the restroom, maybe they do end up vomiting, maybe they don't, but this whole feeling of lightheadedness, dizziness, disorientation just seems to get worse and worse. As they come out of the restroom, there's somebody standing there who's trying to help them, or so they think. Are you okay? You look like you don't feel good. You want to get some fresh air? How about if I walk you outside? And in their state of mind, all they can think of is, I want to get out of here. I don't feel good. That sounds great. Get me out of here. They're not thinking about who this person is. It may be somebody they know. It may be somebody they've never laid eyes on before, but the person's offering to help them. And then they don't remember anything. Their memory is blocked. Part of the side effects of some of these drugs is to actually block the brain's ability to remember anything. And unfortunately, then they wake up 4, 6, 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours later. Sometimes they wake up on a park bench or on the beach someplace. They wake up in their own car. We've had patients, victims, who've woken up in their own homes. They have no idea how they got there. They have no idea what went on for the time period where they have no memory. And sometimes they'll report that they think they might have had sex with somebody. They feel funny. They feel as if they've had sex, but they don't remember anything. Sometimes they have no recollection physically of anything happened, but some of their clothes are missing. Or they know they went out of the house when they went to this party with underwear on, and their pants are inside out. They're back on, but they're not on the right way. Their clothes are disheveled. And it's very frightening because they don't remember anything about what happened. They're very reluctant to come forward and tell anybody. They're afraid that people won't believe them. They're afraid that even if somebody does believe them, there's nothing anybody's going to do about it. So why tell anybody about it? And they need to know that we hear of these scenarios. We know that this is a typical date rape drug situation from the way it's described. We can help. Another scenario that we see sometimes is the dating violence situation. Especially when a young woman has decided that she's going to date somebody. And maybe this is somebody she's had her eyes on for a while, somebody that she's admired for various reasons, whether he's the popular guy, he's the cool guy, or he's just somebody that she thinks she wants to get to know better. If he does do something that she doesn't want to do, if he forces the relationship to move faster than she wants, or he forces her to engage in some kind of a sexual act that she does not want to be involved with, she feels as if it's her fault. She feels as if because she said she liked him, she said she wanted to go out with him, she maybe enjoyed kissing him, maybe they had a good time, then she doesn't have any right to say, but what else she did was wrong, or he forced me to do something that I didn't want to do. One of the most important things that we try to do is to help them to understand that no matter what behaviors they exhibited, they didn't ask anybody to rape them or to beat them or to hurt them. It wasn't their fault that this other person lost control of themselves and lashed out and did something wrong.
It is so important to remember what Eileen just said. It is not your fault if you are a victim of date rape. Don't let anyone try to make you think you are to blame.
No one has the right to hurt someone or make them take part in sexual relations against their will. It is against the law.
And it is completely contrary to moral law and our Christian values. It goes against God, our Creator's design for male and female relations.
Our faith teaches us that sexual relationships are a gift from God to be shared between a married couple.
And even in a marriage, a spouse doesn't have the right to force sex on the other.
Let's hear what our studio guests have to say about this.
Today we have Nicole, Bryce, Catherine, Beth, Matt, and Christina.
Do you guys find date rape and dating violence to be a common experience among teens you know?
Yes, I have so many stories. There's this one where this girl I knew, her boyfriend's best friend was like, yo, let's have sex, blah, blah, blah. And, she was like, no, I like my boyfriend. I want to be with my boyfriend. And eventually, he raped her. And, when her boyfriend found out, he, got so angry because he thought she was cheating at first. And then he realized that he raped her, and he wanted, to, take him to court and everything. But she didn't want her mom to know that she was having sex with anybody, even if it was rape. And, it was turning into craziness.
Yeah, as one of the people said on Teen in the Streets, that it's a male-dominated world. I think we need to learn our roles as people in this world, because I have a lot of friends that are girls, and they come up to me, and they're like, oh, this person did this to me, and you listen to their stories, and it's really depressing, because you think, oh, so what if they're going out with an older person? But it's so sad because they take advantage of them because they're so young and they don't know as much better.
So naive.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are 14, 15 from work that I know, and they're all they think it's cool to hang out with a 20-year-old guy. They're like, oh wow, it makes them feel good about themselves. And a lot of times guys take advantage of them. They think, well, okay, I'm 20 and this 15-year-old girl wants to hang out with me. She must, she wants to do stuff. And the girl does not deserve to be raped. Nobody deserves to be raped, and the guys should know better, but they should be more careful of the situation that they put themselves in. We live in a bad world, and you always have to be cautious of where you are. And it's really heartbreaking what happens to these girls.
It's what do they have to talk about? Because there's a world of difference between 14 and even 20. I mean, you mature so much in those years. It's like me hanging out with a 5-year-old. It's like, what?
And I know for myself, I have had a lot of experiences with dating violence rather than, date rape, because I had a friend who had been going out with her boyfriend for, approximately 2 years. And I think she said, the reason she hadn't fessed up to being abused for all that time is because she got more and more used to that relationship, and it was more like habit rather than she became numb to the whole thing. And I think it was mostly because it had been going on for so long,
Yeah.
So.
I know a story like that too. One of my friends from grammar school, she's a very pretty girl, and she always wanted to be elevate her popularity to the next level. So she got to high school, and she was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to go out with the senior freshman year. And she met this senior, and he was a nice guy, and they started dating, and everything was okay for the first month. And after a while, he started becoming really weird, and he was yelling at her and hitting her and stuff. And it ended up that he had a very bad cocaine problem, a very bad drug problem. And he was this drug was driving him to rape her and hit her. And he would always apologize when he got off his high and give her flowers and stuff. And she was so naive, she just kept on going back to him and back to him. And it kind of destroyed her life. She's never been the same since then. She has her own problems. Rape is not simply about sex. It is a psychological disorder that attempts to dominate another using physical force.
Alcohol and drugs can impair your judgment and put you at risk of dating violence and date rape.
In this next segment, Eileen gives us some shocking research information about boys and men's views on the use of alcohol to get girls or women to do something they wouldn't normally do.
She also offers some tips to lower your risk of becoming a victim.
And how to help a friend who is a victim of dating violence.
In surveys of college-aged men and even some high school-aged men in which they were asked, had they used certain types of behaviors or techniques to, in a relationship, to get somebody to do what they wanted, many men admitted to the fact that yes, they had given their date alcohol with the idea that if they got her drunk that maybe she would do something that she wouldn't normally do, or they talked her into something, they coerced her, they convinced her that she needed to do something in order to keep them in the relationship that she had already said she didn't want to do. And in some of those situations, those are not legal acts. Giving somebody drugs or alcohol in order to make them more vulnerable or put them at risk, that's a criminal act. All of those things may have some potentially criminal implications. So we need to be very careful about what we think is okay and what's not okay in a relationship, not only from a moral perspective, but also from a legal perspective. Some of the best risk reduction tools for teenagers are to recognize that in probably 85 to 90% of the cases that we see, alcohol is involved. When people drink, they lose their perspective. They are less likely to recognize danger signals. They are less likely to be able to get themselves out of a situation that might be escalating out of control. And then there are other things as well. When you first get to know somebody, when you first decide to establish a relationship with somebody, it's really important to protect your own self-interests, to think about meeting in places that are not isolated. At first, get to know the person in a group environment, meet at a coffee shop, go out with a group of friends, because when there are other people around, that offers you another level of protection. The other thing is your conscience. The most important thing that people learn as they mature is that you do have an inner voice. And when that inner voice tells you something's wrong, you need to trust it. You need to recognize that there's a problem and that you should listen to your inner voice and you should get yourself out of a situation that makes you uncomfortable. I think it's really important as a friend to believe when someone tells you that they've been a victim of rape, sexual assault, or dating violence. One of the things that teens are most afraid of is that they're not going to be believed. So believing somebody until there's some reason not to believe them is really, really important. Not asking why questions. Why did you go there? Why did you do that? What did you think was going to happen? Because all of those things will make the person feel more guilty, will make them feel as if you're blaming them. And blaming them is not what they need right now. Believe me, they're probably blaming themselves anyway. The next best thing that you can do is be a good listener and know that there are resources out in the community and encourage your friend to get help. One of the most important things that teens need to recognize is that everybody, every individual has a unique value, that nobody has the right to hurt another person, to cause them harm, to degrade them, or to take advantage of them in any way. If we can always remember that, especially about ourselves. We can look outward and think about being kind or being doing the Christian thing for other people and with other people. But I think that teens don't always apply that to themselves. They don't see themselves as deserving of being treated well, of being respected.
The most important thing to remember if you or a friend has been a victim of dating violence is to get help.
Phone the police, a friend, a relative, or a rape crisis center.
Get medical attention as soon as possible. Do not shower or change your clothes. Valuable evidence could be destroyed.
Rape by someone you know is a violation of your body and your trust.
So what do you think our faith teaches us about this? You know, like, are there ways that our faith can help us in this area?
Well, I think that a lot of the problem sometimes is self-confidence. A lot of people don't think that they have a lot of friends, they feel low on themselves, and when someone comes to them and is treating them in a certain way, at first they like this attention, and so they let it happen to themselves, and that's when things start to get worse. And I think that people need to start realizing and remembering that God always will love them, and that He made them and that's who they are, and they should have more respect for themselves and believe in themselves a little bit more and surround themselves with people who will do good for them and help them be a better person.
And it's also important, just like Eileen said in Jersey Shore, that you have to listen to your inner voice. You have to listen to what God is saying to you. You're always going to hear from Him. He's always going to give you advice. He's always going to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah. You know, our faith teaches us to respect everybody. Like, you know, everybody's got dignity of Jesus and like God in them. And as part of the male like race, I'm embarrassed of how these people treat these women. And you know, it sickens me, because a woman's a gift from God. They're supposed to be our soulmate, you know, like we're supposed to find one of them, spend the rest of our lives with them. We should treat them with the utmost amount of respect. And it's just disgusting what these guys do to them, and they should be ashamed of them.
I often wonder, what do the guys think? How do they think that they're better than a woman, that they can just go and take control over a girl like that? It's totally wrong.
Yeah, I think it's really disgusting how so many men could leave that impression on all of us.
Yeah, I know. I hate stereotypes, and it just makes me mad that a few like bad guys have ruined the trust of many women. Now women have to be careful around all guys, and it's just not right.
Yeah, sex is a sacred thing. You know, why would you want to use it as a weapon?
I also think it's important for the victims of crimes like that to recognize the fact that they're, a valuable human being, and they don't deserve that. God, who died for us, did not want for somebody to violate us in that way, and our bodies are sacred. And I think that our religion gives us the strength, if it does happen to us or to a friend, to, fill ourselves with the Holy Spirit through prayer and really bring up the courage to go and tell someone and believe and trust that they're going to actually believe us and take us seriously. That's very important when something that horrible happens to you.
It's very hard to go it alone, and I think, as long as you know that Jesus and God is there with you and He's walking it with you, it's all.
And I mean, your self-worth is everything. It's like your attitude in life, you are worth, so much more because you were created in the first place, and you were meant to be here, and your life means a lot, and I think a lot of people just don't realize that, and
Although it is most important to get medical and psychological help if you are a victim of dating violence, faith can also play an important role in the healing process.
Knowing that God is always there for you can be a comfort as you try to struggle to get past the pain and suffering.
Jesus never promised that our lives would be without pain.
But He did promise to be with us through it.
There might be a change in someone. Someone might be raped, and you can't deny that that's going to cause a change in them, take something away from them. But the fact is that through Jesus' love and through prayer and through turning to your faith, you can be reborn, and you can still get on and live a normal life. And although you'll always have that thing as a part of you, you'll get past it because Jesus loves you so much.
I think that people who go through situations like this need to realize that God is there and He will help them through it too.
Yeah, I know. If you've been raped, it's like the worst tragedy that can happen to you besides dying. And, in a kind of way that you are dead, like your soul's dead, but you could turn a negative into a positive. Like, you might have the worst experience ever in the world, but it could bring you closer to God. And through prayer and going to church and talking with priests and just your friends, your life could be reborn, just like the video says.
Doing that is a great thing to do, but some advice that you could do is if you want to turn that negative into a positive, you could help other people, join a program to help other people who were possibly raped.
Yeah. That's a good
and you
point.
can help them with that and help them get through it.
Yeah, I like what John said, to pray about it, and it will bring you closer to God.
Yeah. You have to remember it wasn't your fault, and you have to, it's going to be really tough. It's such a tragedy, but you have to move on, and you can.
And you
life
can move
continue.
on.
Yeah,
It's possible.
Okay.
Don't think it's the end.
Yeah.
Jesus is always there, to give you the hand out of the hole of despair, and wrap you up in His arms and give you a big hug, and He's always there to support you.
it'll make you a stronger person in the end if you, have the will to get through it.
Exactly. Although something sacred has been taken from you, you just have to remember that through Jesus' love and through the fact that it wasn't your fault, you had nothing to do with that, and it should never happen to anyone. Jesus is going to give you the strength to get past it and to become a stronger person. And like Matt said, you can even help someone because of what you've been through.
When you're a teenager and you just start dating, it could be hard to know all the rules.
Here are some things to keep in mind.
Be careful not to let alcohol or other drugs decrease your ability to take care of yourself and make sensible decisions.
Trust your gut feelings. If a place or the way someone acts makes you nervous, get out.
Check out a first date or a blind date with friends and insist on going to a public place.
Carry a cell phone or money for a phone call and taxi, or take your own car.
Don't ever leave a party, concert, game, or other event with someone you just met or don't really know.
Take a look at the people around you and be cautious of anyone who puts you down or tries to control how you dress or your choice of friends.
To get more information on date rape and dating violence, log on to our website.
We will have some hotline numbers and resources posted.
Our address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or you can call us at area code 609-406-7402.
And remember, you're never alone.
Jesus said in the book of Hebrews, "I will never forsake you or abandon you."
Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time
on Real Faith TV.
God bless.